YouTube, and welcome to episode 14 of Shelby Vlogs Every Day in November, or what it has become, Shelby Vlogs for every day in November, because I'm a couple days behind, but I will catch up. It's kind of difficult right now. I'm working like 10 to 6, and then it takes me an hour to walk home, and then I make supper, and there's just not a lot of time between when that finishes and when I should be sleeping. Let's do this. Still looking for suggestions, by the way. Ooh, what could it be? Favorite film suggested by Shelby from herself. Okay, I'm allowed to include things in the jar. My favorite films. I'm gonna go get some. It'll make it more interesting. Maybe you'll find Oh, okay. Hey! So this is my collection of favorite films. It's kind of a combination of different things. I kind of categorized it as well. I'm gonna leave these two for last. I have 2 copies of like my ultimate favorite film. Actually, it's 1 copy, but I have 2 cases because I lost the 1 disc, and if I ever find it again, I have somewhere to put it. So, I'm in theater, and so what that means is that I quite likely will like musicals. They're what got me into theater, and I did musical theater performing when I was younger. One of them is my favorite, and that's Fiddler on the Roof. I like the style of music. It's like klezmer. I like klezmer. It's so catchy, and I love the dancing, and it's like a combination of like Jewish and Russian, and it's really interesting. I saw it in Winnipeg on stage at the Manitoba Theatre Company a few years ago, and it was so good. Really interesting set design. They lifted up the curtain, everyone went but that's not the film. I don't know, it makes me happy. Sometimes you just love things and it makes you happy. I think it's mostly just the music. I like the style of klezmer music quite a lot, which is like Japanese music. Oh my god, Jewish. Next, we're gonna pick Nightmare Before Christmas. Dun dun dun! So one of the things you might know about me is that I love puppets. I love Tim Burton. This is a combination of puppets and Tim Burton. I've always really liked Tim Burton. I liked his darker style. He is very stylized. He's dark. One of my favorite things about this is particularly the bonus features. The bonus features, they'll show you how they did some of the puppet building, some of the animation. I watched that probably more than the actual film. As well as one of my favorite short films, Vincent, which is a stop motion animation done by Tim Burton. I've always loved the Tim Burton, Henry Selick sort of style. Which, speaking of Henry Selick, even though everyone always thinks this is a Tim Burton movie, Coraline. Coraline is another stop-motion film, very much like Nightmare Before Christmas. It is made by, it says, from the director of Nightmare Before Christmas, Henry Selick. Tim Burton did not direct Nightmare Before Christmas. It's kind of like how theater works. It's like, if this was theater, Tim Burton was the production designer, and Henry Selick was the director. Anyway, back to Coraline. I like Coraline. It's kind of just what is it? Again, it's a lot of the style behind it. I love the idea of button eyes. The story's just creepy. In case you don't know, it's about this little girl who, her and her family moved to this old house. This little girl, Coraline. She discovers this tunnel that takes her to, basically it's like an alternate dimension of the same house and the people in it, her family. There's like the other mother who's not actually her mother, but is just like an alternate reality version of her mother. Coraline feels like her actual mother is kind of neglectful and doesn't really love her. So the other mother is the complete opposite, but is kind of crazy and turns into a bug. I love the style of it. I love puppetry. I love stop motion animation. It's always described as being a kid's movie. It's not recommended for young children. It has frightening scenes. That's probably why I like it. Coraline. It's amazing! So one of my favorite series, books, film, just world in general, is the Harry Potter series. I am a child of the 90s. This should not be surprising. And my favorite one is one that a lot of people think nothing happens in, but so much happens emotionally. I spend the whole time wanting to cry, and I usually do. It is Deathly Hallows Part 1. I saw this movie in theaters 3 times. It makes me cry. I am on the verge of tears the whole time. It just puts me into this place where I can't function. Many people think of it as like a film where nothing happens. It's a movie, I feel like there's a lot of loss that happens. There's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of just them growing up and surviving on their own. And Hermione always looks amazing. She has the best outfits out in the woods. One of my favorite parts about this was when I was watching the trailer with Mary. There's one part where Ron is really upset because in the wizarding world, everything's going for shit. He's just always concerned about if his ministry is going to arrest his family, because obviously his family is friends with the Potters. He's always concerned about where his family's well-being, and in the trailer, he tells Harry, "No, you don't know how that feels. Your parents are dead. You have no family," or something like that. And I just remember, I feel like me and Mary, we were both like, "He is your family!" This one is definitely my favorite. It gives me the most feels. I cry more in this one than I do definitely in part 2. This one just puts me in a place. What I used to do on Twitter was I did this series called Shelby Does HP. And I used to live tweet Harry Potter movies, and I would highly recommend you doing that if you want to watch them with a different mindset, because when you're focused on trying to get all the little details and thinking of things to tweet about, you notice a lot of plot holes, continuity, things that don't actually make sense. It was a really fun series that I did based off of the Harry Potter series, and I would highly recommend it. Here. This is my favorite Harry Potter film. I love it. I don't care if you don't think nothing happens in it. So much happens in it. Because I'm a child of the 90s, I have to show you my favorite Disney film. Da da da, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba. The music. Hunchback of Notre Dame. I feel like I loved this movie, even as a kid, right from the trailer. Part of the reason why I love this movie is because I've always really appreciated classical architecture, not classical architecture, then I'd love Hercules, which I do. I've always loved architecture and art and music and classical music, and I've always loved masses, the Kyrie eleison kind of stuff. I've always loved that, even as a kid. And I think this movie is kind of perfect for that kind of kid, the kid who loves art and like just classical music. It is not rewound. It's about friendship. It's about not being racist, because even though Quasimodo has been told all these awful things about the gypsies his whole life, he's befriending one of them, and someone he's been told his whole life to hate. And I think maybe I've always appreciated that about him. Maybe. It's kind of like my life. I grew up in a small town with a small town mentality that was not always not very not racist. I love the music, love the art. It's fun, it's great, and fun for the whole family. Paris. The city of lovers is glowing this evening. True, that's because it's on fire, but still there's l'amour. So that's it for my not too favorite films. Juno. This movie has been one of my favorites for years. I love the writing in it. I love the characters. I love Juno as a character. I often get told I look like that chick from the movie Juno. I don't know. She's quirky. She tells it how it is, and I really love that about her. She doesn't really seem to care about what anyone else thinks. She's her own person, and I really admire Juno McGuff because of that. Some of my favorite lines that I say in real life are just from this movie. You are the cheese to my macaroni. This is one doodle that can't get undid, home skillet. Hey, big puffy version of Junebug. It has J.K. Simmons in it. When I was talking about my favorite video games, I talked about Portal and I mentioned J.K. Simmons and I said, J.K. Simmons, he's in one of my favorite films. And I said, it's not Spider-Man. Guess what? It was Juno. It has a really good soundtrack as well. It's another thing I like about Juno. It's like indie music. The road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. You're a part-time lover and a full-time friend. The monkey on your back is your latest trend. I don't see what anyone can see, anyone else but you. It's not classical, it's not punk rocky kind of stuff. It's just really easy to listen to, just so good. Ugh. So this movie and my next favorite movie have one very big thing in common. That guy right there. Michael Cera. I really like Michael Cera. Michael Cera, he's in Juno. He's in one of my favorite TV shows, Arrested Development. And he happens to be Mr. Scott Pilgrim. So Scott Pilgrim is basically the perfect movie. My friend Jason will agree to this. It's perfect. So basically what Scott Pilgrim versus the World is about, if you do not know, Scott Pilgrim is about a guy named Scott Pilgrim, played by Michael Cera, and he gets major love feels for this girl over here named Ramona, who has really cool hair. What he needs to do in order to win her love is to fight her 7 deadly ex-boyfriends. Or not boyfriends, exes, because she experimented. She was a little bi-curious. I'm a little bi-curious. It's basically this movie where if you love nerd culture, it's about you. You can find something to love in it. It references a lot of old classic video games. It's about video games. It has really good music in it. It's based off of a graphic novel. It's just so good. Makes you proud to be a nerd and to be who you are and to fight for the things you truly want in life. Because it's about a guy fighting for a girl, it seems kind of possessive if you think about it. It may cause some negative reactions on the internet, but it's so cute. If I had someone who wanted to date me and they wanted to fight my ex-boyfriends, basically they would have to fight for just 4 dudes. Tyler wouldn't probably put up much of a fight. He'd be like, you can have her, whatever. Ken would be like, I don't care, you can have her. John would be like, I don't care anymore, I date men, you can have her. Landon would be like, I just don't think he would actually really care too much. It's perfect. It's the perfect film. It's perfect. It's overwhelmingly perfect. Well, those were my favorite films. if you want to know anything else about me, or if you want to know my opinion on worldly issues, or if you want to, I don't know, as long as it's legal and not inappropriate, put it in the comments. Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching, and I highly recommend all of these films, and yeah, enjoy. I don't know what to do with my hands. Good night.